Hi, my name is Janelle Riley. I'm an editor at Variety. Thank you so much for joining us for the SAG-AFTRA Foundation Conversation at Home with Paradise Lost. Today's guest is an actor you've seen on shows such as The Last Ship and Jane the Virgin, and she stars in the new Spectrum show as Frances Forsyth. It's such a wonderfully Southern Gothic name. Please welcome Bridget Regan.
Hi, thank you so much, Janelle. Thank you for having me.
I had to say your character's name because the show is so grand guignol in the best sense, and even the names just feel, gothic.
Yeah, it is. It feels like a very ethereal, gothic yet modern portrait of the South, and it's such a fertile setting for a show. I was thrilled to film there, and we shot in amazing locations that I think you really feel when you watch it. And it
Oh,
certainly
yeah.
helped me as an actor, to actually really be in the South.
I could tell you weren't like shooting in Canada or something. It was definitely the
Yeah.
South.
Yep.
Uh, we mostly have SAG actors who tune into this channel and watch us, although, it's welcome to everyone. But I do like to start by asking, how did you get your SAG card?
Oh, I love this question. So I moved to New York City after graduating from North Carolina School of the Arts, and I did the showcase. Shout out to all the young actors out there that are having to do your showcases online right now. I feel for you guys so much. I know it's a really stressful time. But yeah, hopefully things will work out for you guys and everybody will tune in. Anyhow, I got agents from there, and I started auditioning like crazy. And then my first real gigs were commercials. And I think it was with the New York Lottery for like a Christmas commercial ad. And we were like really cheesy Christmas carolers. And I was really excited to be there.
Didn't you start acting at a really young age?
I did a lot of community theater growing up. There was a lot of like after school musical theater in North County, San Diego, but I never really did it professionally. In high school, I got really involved with the La Jolla Playhouse in San Diego, which I'm still such a very near and dear has a near and dear place in my heart. And so I was in a production of Sweet Bird of Youth that Michael Greif directed, that was like this amazing all-star cast. And so that was the most professional thing I did before school, but I wasn't auditioning up in LA or anything like that.
See, I think of La Jolla Playhouse as like, a lot of those shows go to Broadway. It's like
Right. Yeah. The
huge, huge
caliber is huge.
spectacle.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Yeah.
caliber. And so I was, they had a summer, I think they still have it. They had a summer school conservatory for high school students. And that's when I realized I really wanted to be a serious actor. And I wanted to go to a serious training school. And those teachers there actually gave me so much guidance in terms of what schools to apply to and all that. So it was a huge influence on my life.
In North Carolina, that place is like churning out superstars these days. It's got the whole Danny McBride team all came from there.
Yeah, yeah. And we actually, our dear Dean Gerald Freeman passed away last month, and but he was 93. He lived a very full, beautiful life. But I have to say that place is it was a really not just a wonderful education, but the friends that I made there, and just also the professional relationships that are formed there, because there's also a great film school and dance and music and so on. It's a really great place to go, and those relationships still are really important to me.
And you've been busy for quite a few years, but I want to talk about Paradise Lost because you play a therapist who sort of gets uprooted from Palo Alto, taken to the
Yep.
South. Josh Hartnett plays your husband, not too shabby.
The cast is outrageous. I was pinching myself when I got the job. I mean, it's Nick Nolte and Barbara Hershey, and then the rest of the cast: Shane McRae, Danielle Deadwheeler, Gail Beans, Silas Weir Mitchell. I mean, these actors are. I mean, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I really felt like I was on an all-stars team, and it was a total dream. And Josh at the top of that list, to play off someone who's that open and available to play with, was awesome.
I mean, I grew up with him, posters on my wall. So it's so great to see him like back on a regular basis.
Thankfully, Josh was never on my wall. Thankfully, that would have been very weird. But I had a lot of girlfriends that were texting me and freaking out like they were reverting to their 13-year-old selves. So
I love that.
yeah, there's a lot of humor there. Yeah, yeah.
And how did the show find its way to you? And I mean, it's obvious when you see it now, but what appealed to you about it on the page?
Well, I read the first two scripts. I had an audition, just like any other audition, really, and I had been auditioning for a little while. I'd given birth to my son and was kind of getting back into it after the last ship. And at that time, I just knew, often actors, when we, are looking for a new project, we just want it to be different than our last one, right? You want to stretch in a different direction, flex different muscles. And so, the last ship was always really high stakes and really high energy and a lot of action. And I just wanted to play something different. I wanted to stretch in a different direction. And I also really wanted to play a mom because I hadn't, and it's such a huge part of my life. And these scripts came along and it was like everything that I was hoping for. It was crazy. And I, gave it my best shot at the audition. It was a lot of material, but I was so excited to do it. And it was one of those really fast whirlwind things where, they had me back in the next day, and then I had the job the following day, and then I was like on a plane on 5 days later. It was really, really fast. And but I was just like so thankful for it.
I mean, did you have any time to really prepare for the role? I always think actors can play therapists pretty well because I think all actors are in therapy.
Yeah. Well, what we do is we're studying human emotion and interaction. So in a way, yeah, it lends itself to that. Playing a psychiatrist was, I really wanted to do more research. Thankfully, I had a consulting doctor that I got to work with, and we got into a really close relationship where we could text and I could reach her on set. And I would often run lines by her and she would amend them, like change the dialogue to suit more what her opinion would be more in line with her profession. So that was really helpful. But I'm a super nerdy actor. I love research. I love spending a lot of time with the material. I always want to read more books. I want to read and listen to whatever podcast the writer was inspired by. Maybe it's just me stalling to actually getting down to doing the work, but I really do love it. I'm like, I love class. I love still doing class now. And so I'm always wanting to rehearse more and let things marinate longer. But at a certain point, you're like, okay, what are we shooting tomorrow? We gotta get buckled down and get serious. So yeah.
And you mentioned that this was an audition process. Do you mind auditioning? I don't know any. I want to say I don't know any actors who like it, but once in a while, someone says that they actually don't mind it.
Well, it's not it's not my dream scenario, but at the same time, it's still acting. And when I can shift my focus to that it's my time and it's still me doing what I love, I do well. I struggle when I don't have enough time with the material and I feel like it's a rush scenario. Like back when I was doing serious pilot seasons and things like that, that was the hardest for me because it was like you had 5 auditions in a day and you're changing your clothes in your car, just like that sort of nuts, frantic thing. That I didn't handle well. But it turned out well. It was all worth it. But, my motto is, when you're excited, you've done enough preparation and enough work when when you feel that feeling of, oh, I can't wait to show them what I got, and you've got that feeling in you, like, you're really pumped to show it as opposed to, oh crap, I hope I remember this, or I hope I know what I'm doing.
It's so schizophrenic when you talk about like 5 auditions a day. I always wonder, like, how do you veer from characters, especially if they're really different characters in one day, bounce back.
Yeah, I rely really heavily on wardrobe. I always have. It's so important to me. it's annoyingly important to me. And I'm like that on set as well. It's like the shoes, you know, to every part of the character. It's when something doesn't feel right, and I've in the past, you know, been like, oh, it's okay, you know, or you know, maybe the designer feels really strongly about something and you go, oh, it's all right, but I feel uncomfortable all day long in it, you know, like it's not quite who she is, you know. So I've gotten better about listening to that part of myself so that I feel really like the character. And it's forced me to have far too many clothes in my closet for auditions.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Getting back to Paradise Lost, you mentioned your in-laws are played by the legendary Nick Nolte and Barbara Hershey. Is that ever intimidating?
Well, they're both such lovely, lovely people and actors. They weren't intimidating. I I was really, really excited for my first scene with Nick. I mean, he's just as alive and playful as he was, you know. I just watched North Dallas 40 the other night. I mean, it's like, you know, I've been trying to watch all of Barbara and Nick's films that somehow I had missed during our lockdown time. And he's still like, he's just as fun and playful. And Barbara is such a sensitive actor. It's like driving, you know, when you're driving like a really expensive car and you put your foot on the gas and it just goes really fast, or it turns, and it's like, that's what it's like acting with these people that have been doing it for so long. They're just, they take everything that you give them, they throw the ball right back at you. You know, I learned a lot from working with them.
Did I hear you do a Nick Nolte impersonation?
I actually do a really bad one. Rhodes Fishburne, our creator and showrunner, he does the best Nick Nolte impression. And at a certain point, you're like, okay, we have to stop these. We can't let it get back to Nick. You know, when he wasn't in certain scenes, that we're all doing Nick Nolte impressions on set.
So he never got to see you guys do it.
Nick would never mind, even if he knew it. But he's I mean, he's such a cool guy. And I actually listened to he has a really great memoir. It's called Rebel. And there's an audiobook of it as well. I highly recommend it for any actor. It's not just, it's like a great wild ride, but he also made a lot of really interesting choices in his career and made certain things happen, like North Dallas 40. He made that movie happen. He was not kind of sitting in the back seat with his career. He was really driving.
That guy has stories. For days I could listen to him.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And they're in the book. Yep.
And what's been your favorite experience on the show so far?
You know, this as the series progresses, it gets wilder and wilder. It's kind of you know, it was a really emotionally demanding show for me. As Frances is trying to uncover the truth about these secrets that her husband and her family have hidden from her, she's kind of forced to choose between, am I going to find out the truth here, and am I going to risk my marriage completely unraveling? So she's pushed into this position, but she's relentless with the truth. And it was a hard place to go emotionally, certain days, thinking about what it would be like to find out you don't know the person that you're married to. I mean, it's pretty heavy stuff. But that being said, like, it was those days where I felt really I felt like we got somewhere on those days. And you know, while they weren't like, you know, really goofy, funny scenes, you know, like we're on Jane the Virgin, me and Yada are cracking each other up, and, you know, the crew's laughing, you know, like it wasn't those sorts of days, but of course, but it felt like we were really trying to go there. So I was proud of those days.
Is it difficult to shoot? Because just shooting in the South, I would think the heat, first of all. I'm not sure when you guys were there.
Summer.
Oh, you were? Okay. I mean, was it challenging in terms of both physical and emotional?
You know, I have this theory that on a show, like, everything can't be like perfect and great, right? You know, if like, you can't expect to have great script, great people, great location, great, you know, something has to be hard. Otherwise, why are you getting paid? You know? So yes, the weather was hard, and it was hard on the crew. There were, but that being said, they're all locals. They're all Louisiana crew, and so they're used to it, and they're amazing. And in a way, it felt. I mean, we weren't playing summer in the show. So that was the only hard part, is that when they're like constantly sopping sweat off of everyone, I kind of wish, I'm like, we should have just been sweaty. We should have just been, drenched in it. And yeah, but I don't know, maybe that doesn't make good TV. But I made up my mind that I wasn't going to let it get to me, and it didn't. We managed.
Talking about challenges in your career, what's been your most challenging role?
I would say this one. This is definitely, it's also the most close to home, which is a new thing for me. I've been playing a lot of really big characters that are, and I often play villains for some reason. And, but they're the most fun, they're the most, also usually the most active characters to play. But this one, we had so many similarities that it felt more vulnerable in a way. I felt like, she and I had, while we do have some very big differences at our core, there's just as many similarities. So it gave me a really quick way in. But I tried to, I wasn't playing myself. I was trying to play her, but it was a challenge to feel exposed, I guess.
It's interesting you bring up villains because I've only seen the first episode of this series. I don't know who's bad and who's good yet. Frances seems like kind of an innocent pulled into this, but I don't know. She's also very smart.
Right. Well, it's not a black and white world that we're in, and there's a lot of gray. So I don't think this is the kind of, project where you can kind of say, oh, they're the good guys, they're the bad guys. It's going to be a little more complicated. Yeah.
What can you, without getting too much into spoiler territory, what can you sort of reveal about this season?
Well, I will say, the wild thing is it's all going to be available on Monday, so you can watch all 10.
All dropping.
Yeah, I've never been on a show that's all just at once. So, but I feel like it's good. It's a great time. People need content, so yeah, you'll get to it real quick. I will say, Silas Weir Mitchell plays my only kind of real patient. And he is really the catalyst. The character he plays is really the catalyst for all of the unraveling. And he's such a brilliant actor. And I really enjoyed working with him. And so, yeah, keep an eye on him.
Now I'm intrigued because, well, I won't say anything for people who are going to watch it. I forgot you're dropping all the episodes on one day. That's
it's
new, perfect.
I know, it's so, yeah, it's great. I mean, I'm just hoping, that people are able to watch it, and it's a wild ride, and it's got a lot of mystery in it, and right now it feels like it was all a fever dream, and I can't believe it's coming out on Monday.
And during this very strange time we're in, what are you doing? What's keeping you creative and busy?
Oh my God, so many crafts. Like me and my kids, there's a lot of crafting. Right now, it's a diorama that is due on Monday. And yeah, I've got two. My kids are very different ages, 9 and 2, so their needs are very different. But just trying to keep them stimulated and entertained. And a lot of cooking. People got to eat there, and a lot of dishes after the cooking. So that's been my life right now.
That's exactly my problem. Is I'm really enjoying cooking, but then it means dishes every single day.
Exactly. It's this never-ending cycle.
Is there anything you're watching or reading that you want to recommend?
I love Better Call Saul. That's like, looking forward to that every week. And yeah, I've been trying to go back and watch films that I've, all those movies that you're meant to have seen but haven't. Us and our neighbors are doing like a digital film club. We were doing it in person before the lockdown, but tonight it's my choice, and I have to pick a movie that they all haven't seen, and I picked Cabaret. So I'm gonna do some, because I'm like stunned that they haven't seen it. So
I was gonna say they haven't seen it. I'm surprised.
I know. Well, I'm a musical theater like nerd. So yeah, they're gonna get their Fosse education and Liza Minnelli education tonight.
That's amazing. That sounds like so much fun.
Yeah.
Before we go, I want to remind everyone about SAG-AFTRA Foundation's COVID-19 Relief Fund. You can find all about it in the comments below, I guess. I want to thank you so much for joining us. By the time this is up, I think the episodes will all be out. So everyone check out Paradise Lost.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Janelle.
Of course. Thank you.